Welcome, everyone, to episode 7 of the Gamefall podcast. I'm Kyle Sherman. This right here next to me is John McVeigh.
How's it going?
Glad I don't have to prompt you to say hi to the people anymore, John.
I'm learning.
Another week, another episode. Nothing exciting this week, no 4th of July festivities or anything like that. But you know what that means, John?
What does that mean?
It means I got a lot of chances to play some games. And that's where I want to start things. What have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing? No surprise, really. More Wolfenstein 2. Every chance I can get. So Kyle got to play more games. I got to play less games because I had to go back to work. So when I did have a chance to play, I played Wolfenstein 2 and I got to New Orleans through the first 2 sections of it. And I'm on the Panzerhaut.
It's a quality section, very fun. So, thoughts on arriving to New Orleans? Kind of a fun character you meet there. I forget his name, but
he's like some preacher-ish guy.
But he's very much a hippie into psychedelics, and
yeah,
it comes across that way at least.
I mean, he drugs you, so
yeah. Well, he just makes you drink some pretty intense liquor.
That whole scene was great.
Oh, we took a sip at the same time. Sorry. Dead air. For me, It's been a productive week.
So
you're already laughing. I finished Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Excellent.
And I finished Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2. That was after I finished Lost Legacy. I was like, I just need to beat this. So it's not hanging over my head anymore.
So let's go with probably the less stellar one. What were your thoughts on the Avengers?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I thought. It was fine. I don't think it was nearly as entertaining as Lego Marvel Super Heroes 1.
Okay.
It had similar elements, but I just didn't think it came across as fun. It didn't. And the new world is weird. It's not as fun as just navigating around Manhattan. Because I think I told you where it's...
Yeah, I can't remember where
it's different elements. Kang the Conqueror has kind of taken different pieces of history and pulled them all together into this one city called Chronopolis. So you have ancient Egypt, you have the Old West, you have... Manhattan from, modern times. You have future Manhattan. You have noir Manhattan. You have, Adeline. You have nowhere.
All those things come together as a lackluster.
It's not as fun to navigate and stuff like that. And the story didn't grab me as much. It wasn't as entertaining as the first one. So it was okay. Glad I got it done. And I can move on. But...
So you're telling me that they have multiple different time periods and areas of a map that aren't the same now, even though Ubisoft says they're going to do that later?
They're all pulled together into one map. It's not overlaying them.
Okay.
So it's sort of like if you look at it like a clock, different quadrants have different,
So it's
areas.
one map. It's just different, very different on them. How's the gameplay?
Worse than the first one. That's part of why it didn't... So, in the first one, if you held X, it didn't really do anything, It's just a jump button.
Okay.
And this one, if you hold X, you do, a super jump or a boosted jump. And so, apparently, my natural style of hitting the X button is to hold it just slightly too long.
So you're always doing long jumps when you don't need to?
No, so you have to charge up to it. So it, does a half charge and then doesn't do anything. And so if I'm trying to jump over something, say lava, because there's some lava in the Asgard portion, because it's the Ragnarok.
So when you want to jump, do you have to hold it for a little bit and then let go?
No, so you can do the standard jump with just a tap.
Okay.
Or you can do the boosted jump where you have to hold it for a few seconds.
Okay, but you said you like to hold it.
Not hold it, just hold the tap just slightly too long. Okay. So it starts to charge, but I don't hold it.
So it acts like you're going to do a big jump.
Exactly, which was very frustrating and definitely detracted from the gameplay. So it was okay. I mean, I'd probably put it on if you put it on a scale from 1 to 10 on about a 5, it's just middle of the road, mediocre.
How about for a Lego game?
Mediocre. I haven't played that many Lego games, but I really enjoyed Lego Marvel Superheroes, the first one, and then Lego Marvel Avengers. Those are both entertaining to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't played like the Star Wars ones or the Indiana Jones ones or the Jurassic World ones or
the Jurassic World ones. Okay, the Force Awakens is my favorite Lego one, as far as the. I mean, it's the only one that I was actually wanted to go and get all the collectibles, which I did.
So I guess my assessment of it would be: if you enjoy Lego games, it's not bad, but it's far from great. So
Far from great.
yeah,
Okay.
a little bit of letdown after the entertaining game of Lego Marvel Superheroes 1. It's got a bigger cast of characters.
Okay. Does it use the movie characters?
Yes.
Okay.
Are
they?
they have different versions.
They kind of sound like the movie characters, though.
No, I mean, not really.
Not really. But do they use their costumes? I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
as much as you can for
That's
Lego.
about as similar as it gets.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like Asgard is Ragnarok Asgard, where there's a volcano erupting and it's covered in lava and it's kind of falling apart.
Gotcha.
As opposed to Asgard. Before I talk about Lost Legacy, I have played a little bit more Wolfenstein 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm past New Orleans. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a big cutscene with a big reveal in
I want
it.
to play now.
Really cool. I'm not done with that section yet, but you don't... there's no downtime. You don't go back to the Eva's Hammer and dick around or anything. You just jump straight to the next thing.
So far, everything just keeps getting better.
It's a way bigger game than the first one,
Mm-hmm.
like far and away. So played a little bit more of that. Played a little bit more Ark, Survival Evolved.
Naturally.
Unlocked metal things. But the big news, and this is, I kind of teased you with it earlier, but I was like, no, I'm going to save it for this. So yeah, get ready to react. Tamed a Pteranodon, got a saddle, can fly now.
What? Does it feel good?
It feels good. The only unfortunate thing is it doesn't have a lot of stamina. It was a low level Pteranodon.
Does it fall out of the sky?
You can't fly that long.
Oh.
But it's like I have it up to level like 8 or 9, so it has a long ways to go. So I've been trying to up its stamina so it can fly for a while. The problem is the base speed is kind of slow.
How much can it carry?
Not much unless you upgrade it.
Ouch.
Yeah, and what you carry counts towards that weight when you get on it.
What?
So yes, I can't have more than like a quarter of my weight full if I'm gonna fly.
That's messed up.
Yeah, so it's not great for transporting anything at this moment. Like I said, it's really low level. I'm trying to up its stamina right now so I can fly longer distances. So it's kind of slow. So what I tended to do at least was to use the sprint option, the boost option, but then it has a stamina gauge and it drops it a lot faster. And then when the stamina gauge depletes, you go down.
Okay.
But it's not like you just plummet from the sky. It just
gliding.
Yeah, it just steadily loses altitude.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's kind of fun.
Cool.
Put a couple metal pieces together on my...
You have like metal walls?
No, okay, so I built a new hut. I told you about this last time.
Samson
out of
2,
stone. So, yes, R.I.P. Samson 2. I haven't named the Pteranodon yet.
Don't name him Samson.
Oh no, I did. I named him Hank.
Oh, okay.
Hank, not Samson. Samson doesn't fit his persona, but the turtle.
It's also a cursed name now.
Yeah, let's be honest. It is. R.I.P. Samson and Samson 2. Particularly Samson 2. He went down like a champ, taking on 2 megalodons and a piranha.
His poor shell just wasn't thick enough.
R.I.P. man, R.I.P. But so I put a second story on the structure that I built. And so for the second roof, I'm making it out of metal. Which kind of, but I didn't have enough to build the whole thing, so I just cover the rest with thatch, and I'll because that's
temporary.
Quick and simple, and then I'll replace it as I go.
Gotcha.
But as I told you, I'm thinking about maybe really making life difficult on myself and building that tree thing, because there's a big area of woods nearby where I'm at.
With a giant tree. Suitable for your tree.
There's a few giant trees, so
just don't accidentally chop them down.
We'll see how that goes. And then finally, like I said, I've been busy.
Yeah.
Uncharted Lost Legacy.
This is the one I wanted you to finish.
Which, yeah, I had maybe 40 minutes left.
I was like, you're right there.
Left.
If you met Drake's brother, you were like pretty close.
Yeah. Well, and I'd met him, and then
I think you meet him, and then you like split apart for a little bit, and then you come back.
We had escaped. Last we talked, they had escaped the ancient city, and were at the train yard.
Is this the fake city or the real one? There was the faux city under
the real one. The real one.
Okay.
So it was like I'd gone past that and had gone to the rail yard, and that's where I stopped. Was right at the beginning of the rail yard. So I had to beat the rail yard, and then the whole train scene, and then that was the end of the game. But awesome! It was an awesome campaign. I really enjoyed it. Even more so because it was free, borrowed from you. Yeah, just I thought it was a really well told story, and got to know Chloe a lot better as the protagonist, and it was kind of interesting to see her relationship with Nadine grow and change, where it was like they hated each other at first, very standoffish, and then they became, closer, but then when she found out about Drake's brother,
knife in the back type thing,
it goes off the cliff again, and by the end, they're homies once again. So, there was growth between the two of them, and I particularly like the end where it teased more.
We just did a thing.
Yeah, but
Chloe
potential future collaboration between the two.
Maybe even the three.
Yeah, well, where Nadine says, maybe I'll give this treasure hunting thing a try, giving up, essentially cutting ties with Shoreline, saying she's done with that, and maybe I'll try this treasure hunting thing, and then she's like, know anybody that needs a partner? And Chloe's like, I could probably think of someone. So
here's an idea. Naughty Dog. How many games are you going to put two main characters in where we pal around with them the entire game and not allow us to have co-op? You can still have the other player talk and have the meaningful conversations happen as we're running around having fun, listening to a story. Just because you like to play a single player game doesn't mean you don't have another friend that likes to play the same thing. Sorry.
It would be fun, but it's not.
I find it
necessary.
Silly that they always want you to have a companion.
There was one moment, though, where you parted ways and you had to track her down. I mean, but that was just for a couple minutes.
Yeah. I mean, Gears of War did it just fine.
True. I mean, you can do it either way, but...
They did have that co-op section in 3, but that was just side stuff that didn't even matter, and it wasn't even that great. It was like wave modes.
I never tried that.
I played it with Todd.
Gotcha. Not that anybody knows who Todd is, but...
he's a guy.
He's a guy.
Todd. Everybody knows Todd.
Todd, yeah, everybody knows Todd. So that's what I was playing. Highly recommend it if you haven't played it. $40 was the initial price. I'm sure it's cheaper than that now.
$40 was the initial price. It's probably around like 20.
Well worth the play, and you get the Uncharted 3 Uncharted 4 multiplayer with it as well. If you didn't get Uncharted 4, I don't know why you wouldn't have Uncharted 4
Which
or
does...
1, 2, or 3. The collection on PS4 plus 4, well worth your money. You could probably get them all together for like $50.
Yeah, and the Uncharted multiplayer 4 has microtransactions, and it has loot boxes, but you are never to get a repeat item out of any chest.
Oh, you mean
ever? You
mean Naughty Dog figured out how to set an
So
algorithm?
you can only, if you want to unlock everything right away, you can spend, I don't know what the limit is, but there is a maximum amount you can spend, and you will get every item. And if you don't want to pay anything, you will still get every item because you don't get duplicates.
Just don't spend the money.
And hey, thank you. I don't want duplicates. That's pointless. Thank you.
That really.
I already paid you money. Thanks for being nice.
That was one thing that really frustrated me with Call of Duty, because obviously you and I aren't going to drop money on loot crates for Call of Duty, but
We're not going to talk about Black Ops 4 because neither of us are buying it because it doesn't have a single player campaign. So
Why?
It doesn't get my money because that's what I would play first. I think 30% of the people who play Call of Duty actually play the campaign or at least tick a trophy off on the campaign. Hey, Activision, that means 30% of your player base actually is interested in the single player on the games you make. So, bye-bye to 30% of your market base.
yeah. And
Bye-bye.
My interest in multiplayer is just every once in a while play it to have fun, like be able to play something with you or somebody else. Not like I want to beat the game, the story, and then that's just kind of on top of it. Who like you just don't. I don't feel like you get that much out of the game if there's no context to why you're, you play at these locations and it's like there's no context other than just the multiplayer. Like this is the map.
The single player gives you the context for the map of the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Bungie didn't understand why people wanted to come back and continue to play their Halo games. They thought it was for multiplayer. No. I played the story way more than I played the multiplayer. I've probably beat Halo 1 25 times.
And when you turn on Grunt Birthday Party, makes it infinitely.
Halo 3, I played that
better.
campaign all day.
Get a headshot. Yay! Yay! Because then it just became a competition between John and I on who could cause more yays to come out.
And so every time you go to an area where there was a bunch of grunts, you'd hear yay!
All right, John, now that we're 17 minutes deep here, let's get into the news.
It's time for the news.
So, we'll just start off with this first one here. John compiling our news for the day.
Most of it's from, probably all of it's from IGN. I didn't have time to look around the web. They kind of look around the web for me.
They aggregate a lot, so it's helpful. Dead Space 4, had it been produced...
It's not happening, but if it did...
It would have had a female protagonist in an open world design, and I didn't really play the first two. I know you played 1. Did you play 2?
Oh, I played them all.
Okay, and then we played 3 together.
I didn't play the Wii game, or the iPhone remakes. The Wii game was a shooter on rails. 1,
dumb.
If you liked Resident Evil 4, you would have loved Dead Space 1. Because it was actually scary, it was over the shoulder, just like RE4. I liked it, I played it, I actually beat it like 4 or 5 times. I got so good at it that I could beat it in like 5 hours.
Despite the fact that it creeped you out.
Medina Lake is a band. If you listen to Addicts to Eden, which is one of their albums, it actually goes really well with that game. Only I would know that.
It's like you can do with movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
And if you play it as fast as I did, like when you get to the boss, you get the really creepy song that has no lyrics to it. It was really good. Anyway,
so we played 3 together, which was, co-op.
2 was excellent as well. It was, so 1 and 2 are single player games. And they were horror. They were actual horror. 2 was so scary for me that when I started playing it, I kind of knew the mechanics of what to do because I played 1. So I got far enough to where it creeped me out so much that I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. So I stayed up all night and beat it in one day, one sitting.
I have a hard time doing that.
The sun was coming. Well, I couldn't sleep. I was like, nope, I'm going to have to see it to the end. And the sun was coming up by the time I finished.
That's funny. So I enjoyed 3 co-op. Didn't play the first 2, but you did, and you kind of told me the whole backstory.
Yep.
And it teased. They kind of had some open areas in 3.
Mm-hmm.
That you kept coming back to the shuttle hub, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Was one area, but that's too bad that they didn't do that. But they didn't get a chance to do it. But it seemed like with 3 there wasn't much fan support. There wasn't a lot of people buying that game. We didn't buy that game. It was free, wasn't it? On
PlayStation 3.
Plus, yeah.
For PlayStation Plus, it was free, and it was a fantastic free game.
On PS3.
Which,
How did we communicate? Did we actually hook up our Bluetooth headphones to the...
No, you came over
PS3?
every time we played it.
I thought I was down in Pullman. for part
We
of it.
started playing it together here, and then you may have been at Pullman.
Okay, well, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, we played together. John gave me all the backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So, would have been fun. Would have been interesting, I guess, to have a different protagonist. But obviously, the Isaac.
The flotilla is what the hub section was
Ah,
in Dead Space 3.
gotcha.
Yeah, Isaac was the main protagonist for the original 3, and
They
then at
kinda
the end of
wrapped
the
him up.
3, he got left on that moonless planet.
He was crazy by that point.
I mean, he went
he'd lost it. He was
full
bonkers.
PTS psychotic D.
Yeah. So, next item on that happy note.
Hey!
Darksiders 3 developer has announced a new game.
Haven't even released their game they're making.
Yeah, Darksiders 3.
Remnant.
from the Ashes. John,
Take it
give
away.
us the deets.
The deets are as follows. From the Ashes is a third-person survival action shooter developed by Gunfire Games, also making Darksiders 3, and published by Perfect World Entertainment. It will feature 4-player co-op in a dynamic generated worlds, so not procedurally generated. That just makes me think that the map will change as you're playing.
Well, I was going to say dynamically generated. It just sounds like a new fancy word for procedurally generated.
At
At least certain elements to it.
Maybe someone finally patented procedure. No, I don't know. And is currently scheduled for a 2019 release on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. There was a launch trailer, and they had some playable section, or at least it supposedly showed actual gameplay. It's set in post-apocalyptic future in which Earth has been overrun by the Root.
The Root?
Hostile beings from another dimension. They kind of look like, roots, like tree roots that make creatures. They had a dragon, some weird-looking Cthulhu-ish type monster there with something, maybe a boss, I don't know. But you work together.
I hope that's not a common thing you fight.
Yeah, you can craft weapons and equipment, recruit tradesmen to populate your home base, and customize your character to suit your personal playstyle. So kind of sounding a little bit like some Monster Hunter elements in there.
Sounds that way a little bit. I do like being able to customize my person to fit my playstyle because, using the example of Monster Hunter, that's perfect because you and I play Monster Hunter very differently. And I swear to God, if you hit me with that switch axe again, I'm going to murder you.
It's a good thing we finished that game.
Although eventually we're going to have some more monsters to go hunt.
Oh, there's already more monsters.
Enough to make it worthwhile to go back and
that's gonna take far too long. They'll probably have the next game out by the time that happens.
Probably, but we still have it just in case we wanted. Mm-hmm. So, it'd be interesting to see how that works out.
I'm intrigued from what the small announcement from the initial trailer has me intrigued.
Being able to play co-op and being able to customize players to your style of play is definitely a big plus in my eyes. So I haven't had a chance to really check this out yet. It'll be one I check out, and I'll probably keep an eye on it like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Darksiders, that development team is well thought of. So,
and they republished the Darksiders 1 and 2 for the new generation, and if you haven't played those games, they're good AA tier games that are kind of like Zelda, but also kind of like original God of War games. So if you like that type of stuff, you can play those.
Next item before I take a drink here, and that is in regards to The Last of Us 2. A game
Kyle, if you just want to close your ears right now.
John and I both looking forward to this game.
Kyle probably doesn't want to hear details about this game.
I don't need to hear details.
All you need to know...
It doesn't upset me to hear details. I'm not like you with the stills from Star Wars that IGN posts on their page, and you get all mad if you see a ship out of context.
What the... This is pointless! Pointless! Don't ruin the reveal of a ship for me. For crying out loud. It's Star Wars. It's been around long enough that if I just see, like a snippet, anything more than really actually the teaser trailers, I'm already going to start formulating what the entire movie is going to be about, and then I'm just going to go in there with expectations, and it's going to be ruined. Much like several people that went and saw Han Solo, because they just don't care. Or The Last Jedi. Oh, it's ruined. Everything's ruined. Nothing was ruined. You went in with expectations that weren't met because you set those expectations and didn't wait to see what the final product is. That's why I don't look at those.
That was just a fun little moment where I just poked the bear a little bit. But, so the news, getting back to the actual news.
The Last of Us Part 2's Ellie will have an NPC companion.
So much like Ellie was the NPC companion for Joel in the first one, Ellie will have her own tag along. But to me, part of this is it's a mystery.
As to who this companion is going to be, The Last of Us Part 2 is about honoring Ellie, and Naughty Dog has made a point of implying she may be the only playable character. But in a new interview, Naughty Dog Vice President Neil Druckmann let slip that she'll have someone else to follow along for the ride. Basically, this really isn't news, because every Naughty Dog game has had at least 2 people since Jak and Daxter.
They have companions. To me, the thing that this brings up, since they're not saying specifically who it is, it means it's not going to be Joel. So where my mind goes is how much will Joel play a role in this game? How much will we see him? And to what extent will he influence what happens in the game?
That's a big question.
So, but that's something I don't necessarily want answered right now.
That's
something I'd rather find out when I play the game, whenever that release date may be, which we know is not in 2018. Most likely will be
maybe
2019.
Fall 2019. It's probably going to come out the last year that the console is out.
The nice thing is that they have playable demos and stuff like that. So while I don't expect it to be out this week,
are they going to do a playable demo for this one?
Well, the playable section from the conference, the gameplay section from the conference.
Oh, okay.
Is I guess what I was referring to.
Okay.
But
the part with just Ellie, and they did say that she is the main protagonist of the story, so that's the person you're primarily going to be controlling.
Based on the teaser and then what they showed at E3, I kind of already inferred that. Let's save these next 2 items. Those will be our topic of the show, sort of. End of the road there. We'll jump to the next one, and that will be, if you've missed out on the Rocket League hype train.
I don't know why you've missed out on the Rocket League hype
on
train.
the Xbox One specifically. It is now coming to the Xbox Game Pass. So if you missed out for whatever reason, which you have no excuse,
absolutely not.
Play it. Get it. Especially if you already have Games Pass.
Games Pass is $10 a month. You can pay for 1 month only. So why don't you just drop down $10? You can play as all of the games on there if you want.
John is not a sports fan. John loved Rocket League. You add cars into the equation. John's sold.
Somehow, if you turn a sport into an arcadey situation, I might actually enjoy it. And in this case, it was pure gold.
It was great. We played it.
And this developer's been adding for years now content to this game, so it's
more cars,
and they never increased the purchase price. It's still $20, so it's still well worth your.
Well, and it's also still selling well enough.
I mean, it's worth the buy alone, but if you want to test it out, you can test it out on Games Pass.
Next item here, Subnautica announced for the PS4. John, tell me more.
Telling you more. Subnautica. Panic Button Studio. Hey! Panic Button.
Apparently they can do more.
General Manager and Director of Development Adam Creighton?
Sure.
Whatever. I probably said it wrong. Revealed his company was behind the PS4 port. The studio is also working on Warframe for the Nintendo Switch, and previously brought Doom and Wolfenstein to the New Colossus. So, it's not a new game, so there's a review for it.
But apparently Panic Button able to do more than just port things to the Switch.
Apparently they're porting stuff everywhere.
They have found themselves a nice little... They've carved out themselves a nice little portion of the market just in their work, porting games over to different consoles. Good for them.
Oh, it's an open world survival craft 'em up.
We already have one of those.
And it has dinosaurs. Ways, including the gripping story, developer Unknown Worlds has done even better. So they were akin it to Minecraft, and the reviewer at the IGN site said that he wishes he could wipe this. This is one of the games he wished he could erase from his memory so he could experience it anew. It's probably pretty decent if you like Minecraft-ish type stuff.
Which we do. But right now, I have a Minecraft type game that has my arc survival evolved.
And has no story. and that's perfect.
Survive. Build. Kill and tame dinosaurs.
Die, run, find your corpse, grab all your items.
So you haven't died that much.
I can't chop myself up anymore. I know that sounds really odd, but in the game form, the body's gone. It's just the pack now. They must have patched it out or something, or it was a glitch. I'm not sure.
Well, if it's a carnivore, they'll eat your body.
Oh my gosh, that's okay. That's what was happening. Because at first I was dying from Triceratopses. Got it.
Those won't eat your body. Next.
Next, we're gonna.
Do you want to talk about Mr. Todd Howard?
I do want to talk about Mr. Todd Howard basically trolling everybody again. He came out and he said, if you want us to stop making Skyrim ports, stop buying and stop playing it. So apparently millions of people still play this game, and they know that
daily
because of the Steam tracks all your play, and yeah, I know what you're gonna say. It came out on Steam a long time ago, and technically they're not gonna report it back to Steam. But his point is that's just one of the data elements that they have, which is that lots of people are still logging in on Steam. It's still hitting one of the top continuously played games, basically through its mod support there. There's mod support on the PS4 and the Xbox One now, so I'm sure they're tracking how many players are playing on both of those consoles. It came to the Switch. I'm sure they know how many people are playing on that because Nintendo keeps track of that as well. And they just ported it to, is it the Echo?
Oh yeah, the Amazon Echo. Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons-ish is what I'm going to say because it's all in Word.
Still haven't tried that
Spoken.
yet. Still haven't tried it
yet. So yeah, and you know what? It's a good game. If you don't own it,
it's a great game,
and it comes out on a system you want, go ahead and buy it. He's just getting mad at people saying that it's taking time away from them developing their new games, which is a joke because I don't really know that they've handled any of the ports for...
They have not. They have not done a single port.
Iron Galaxy did the port for Switch. And they're wanting to port Monster Hunter World.
And then Panic Button
but they don't have the
ports
to go ahead to do that.
For Doom.
Panic Button did Doom and Wolfenstein.
Yeah, Wolfenstein. And apparently Subnautica for the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not like Bethesda is taking time out of developing Fallout 76, the next Elder Scrolls games, and all their other items.
This is not impacting their...
It's kind of an
manpower in any sense of the imagination.
Asinine kind of thing that he's responding to, but Todd Howard, never one to take things lying down. Just letting everybody know, hey, if you hate this so much, stop playing it.
And he's not
of course
being
they're going
mean
to port
about
it to Switch. It never made it to Wii U. It couldn't make it to Wii U.
It's just like when Ubisoft didn't make Assassin's Creed for 1 year because they saw a dip in sales. And they're like, we need to adjust.
And now they're back to making it every year.
Maybe.
At least back-to-back years. Hopefully we don't see the same decline.
Well, it'll take 8 more games for them to decide to do 1 year off if that happens.
Well, no. Because 1, 2...
They didn't really get bad reviews until...
Gap.
Unity and Syndicate.
Yeah, it wasn't the... 3 kind of... I guess was mediocre.
3 people hated it, but then they got 4 and everyone loved it.
Black Flag.
Awesome.
Oh, pirate ships.
And you could swim in the ocean. And
pirate ships.
That was probably the
ship
first
battles.
best ship game. That proved that ship gameplay could actually be fun.
That was the one thing that everybody loved about 3 was the brief ship battles.
Which
just
were
a couple of them.
way too brief and clunky and...
But everybody's like, that was super cool. So what do? They followed up Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
And you got to move the ship all wherever you wanted.
And it's the entire world. Set in the Caribbean. You're sailing from island to island, battling ships when you want to. If you don't want to, that was fine too. Except unless it was the big ones. Yeah, dying for... Just fantastic. Fantastic. Love Black Flag.
It's on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. You can go play it right now. It's
probably and you can buy sets with Unity and...
I don't know why you would. Syndicate.
Just don't. Just buy 4.
Maybe don't play Unity. That was the worst.
Just don't buy 4. Just buy 4. Leave those 2 alone.
Yep. And then when you're
Play
done
Origins.
with 4,
Play Origins.
go buy the Brotherhood trilogy, the Ezio collection.
Well worth your time. Well worth your time. Anyway, we've digressed.
We have digressed.
You're scrolling the wrong way,
Scrolling
my
the wrong
friend.
way. Oh yeah. So
you have your list there. So I guess I'll say this first, and then I'll let you get into it. And this again, coming up with crossplay. That's what I want to talk about first.
I mean, all of these two things are
Tied together. But specifically, this first one, Nintendo is talking to publishers now about expanding their crossplay capabilities, so they can have more, I guess, interaction with the Xbox. Obviously, not PlayStation because that's not a thing right now. But
I'm sure if PlayStation wanted it, they would. Basically, what's happening is everybody else, including the PC, is all having fun together. And phones.
Did you fill up your empty hand?
I hold up my phones. See, and then PlayStation's over
You're
here.
not even drinking alcohol.
They got nobody. They're by themselves. All the player base lives and dies right here. They have nobody to help them out. I don't get it.
But see, the thing to me, I mean, just I'm looking at it, I guess, kind of objectively, critically, like from a business perspective. What motivation does Sony have to really focus on crossplay and really put effort into it right now when they have dominated the landscape? They have the number one install base, and until recently, there wasn't that big of a clamor for crossplay. So I think they will in the future. I think that will definitely, with the next generation, they'll have to. Next console generation for sure. I don't know how much effort they're going to put into it right now, but Nintendo obviously looking to expand that, and
they're going to put zero effort into it right now.
And my point is, they don't have to put any effort into it right now because Fortnite was crossplay on accident. And the only reason they know that is because a PlayStation player found an Xbox gamertag because, oh my gosh, it was his gamertag he shot. And that's not possible if you're only playing on the PlayStation because that gamertag is tied to that system and there can't be two copies. But there can be if you have different consoles. So, point being, it's basically saying we don't want it to happen, so we're not allowing you to do it. All they'd have to do is say, go ahead. You can do it. That is the maximum. Actually, that's
right
technically
now,
the minimal and the maximum amount they would really need to do because the developer is going to try and figure it out to make their own game work. Because, contrary to popular belief, a lot of developers actually have servers that they pay for to make sure that their games run when they're using multiplayer. Yes, some people piggyback onto Xbox's nice giant bank of servers. But guess what? All of the servers for that game are going to be there, including the PC's copies and the Switch's copies. They're not buying a separate set and not allowing it. That would be ridiculous. They're just holding a gate closed. Again, I know nothing about development or code, but in my opinion, that's how it feels when you can accidentally have Fortnite be cross-play and then, whoop, sorry, click, it's gone now.
Sony servers are partitioned off from the rest.
Basically, that's, I mean,
An
if you want to try and be generic about it, they're not talking to the other stuff. Everything else is talking to each other right now. They're not allowing PlayStation to talk on Fortnite.
And Rocket League.
Rocket League is so good. You can even manually ask which servers you want it to pull. If you want it to just pull from the Switch, just the Xbox, the PS, the PC, all three at the same time. You can even go in and do your own tournaments. I mean, it's amazing. If anyone wants to know how to do crossplay, just ask the people at the Rocket League team. They got it nailed.
Yeah, I mean, they have it down. There was a brief period of time before they put it out for Microsoft, for the Xbox, where you could cross-play with the computer.
Oh, no, on Fortnite,
PS4.
PlayStation 4 players, I believe, can play with PC players.
But not with others.
But if there's an Xbox player in that game, the PlayStation 4 player ain't getting in.
But another aspect, too, to look at this, too, with Nintendo talking to publishers about helping out with crossplay, to me that says that they're reaching out to these third-party developers like, hey, bring your game to the Switch.
Yeah.
We want crossplay. We want our players to be able to play with PC and with Xbox. And I think that is a tactic, a technique, what have you, an idea for them to try to get more third-party developers to publish their game for the Switch as well as, the big three in PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And with that, I think kind of goes into our next news item
into the
perfectly.
topic
that, my
of
friend,
the show
is called a segue, and I nailed it. Not to toot my own horn, but beep beep. Nintendo would like to have their goal. They want to have 20 to 30 new indie titles on the Switch.
greedy,
Not every month,
but
not every other week, but every week.
greedy little leprechauns. They found their pot of gold and they want to wring it till it's dry. I know
And
they're not leprechauns.
They're probably not that far off from that right now.
They're not. I mean, they have probably, I would say,
Getting 10 to 15
games
10 to
every
15.
week. So they're only really talking about adding an additional 10, maybe 15 games at maximum every week. But the problem is, I want everything on the Switch, but Nintendo, you don't want to put everything on the Switch, because the things that I say I want everything on are games that are good.
AAA titles and the
Indie games that actually function.
yes.
Have a set, cohesive vision. Not just, hey, this is my first game ever, and I'm gonna use all assets from the Unreal Engine store. It's a first-person shooter at night in a road, and there's zombies. Because there's a lot of those.
I understand Nintendo wants games on the Switch. You run the risk of, and that's, obviously they want people to develop for the Switch, as well as the other ones, but you run the risk of a Steam-type situation where you're going to get a bunch of trash mixed in with the great games.
You don't want to pollute.
And it can muddy the waters, especially, that indie developer waters. It's so tough for those studios to break through, and if they're just dealing with a bunch of trash on their e-store, it's going to be tough to find those good ones. Harder to find those good ones.
Thanks to self-publishing, we still have the creativity that happens in the independent scale, and there are good games that come through self-publishing and do deserve a chance to look out. Another problem is people are saying, oh, I can't find anything on your eShop store. You don't have a good way to search for things. And it frustrates me to no end, because it's like, okay, clearly you only look at the 5 tab options. You don't bother to go to the search section, because if you did go to the search section, you could see that you can search for games with demos, demos only, genres, RPG, action, puzzle, action puzzle, shooter. All the genres, all the main genres are there. You can search, and you can just say, you don't even have to type any game. You just say, I want to search that category. All of them. All of the ones in that category show up on that page, and then you can add it to your wish list. Also, if you want your game, if you're a struggling developer, to get it back onto the front store, there's a great deals section, and it'll even put games on there that have a 1% discount. 1%. It gets put on that main page. 1 measly flippin' percent is apparently a great deal. I don't think so. That's trash. That's just ridiculous way to try to put your game back on there. What they need to do is Nintendo needs to, they're great at advertising their own stuff on their news tab page. They need to start advertising more of the third-party games on the news tab page at a regular interval. So not just the week it comes out, not just 2 weeks before it's about to come out, but hey, it's been a month since this has come out and people like it. Lots of people played this game. This might be a game worth checking out. Another nice thing that you could do is an affinity data scale, where it's like, oh, you bought Wolfenstein 2, and you bought Super Mario Odyssey. Seems like you like some adventure and some story. Here's some adventure and story games.
Does that exist?
No.
So you're saying, I just let you go.
That doesn't exist.
I mean, that
the
is...
affinity data, as far as I'm concerned, they might be collecting in the background, but they're not doing anything visually with it in front of you.
Hey, if Netflix can do it, so can
Netflix does it wrong, because there are things that come up on my homepage on Netflix that I will never have any interest in playing, or watching, or viewing, or even hearing about, and I sure shite don't want to see the 30-second trailer that I'm forced to hear the first 5 seconds of before I can get down to what I actually wanted to watch. No, don't do it that way.
Do you and your wife use the same profile?
No, I have my own profile, and I watch the stuff I like on that, so it doesn't muddy up Miranda's
But when she
Office
watches,
profile.
she likes The Office and only The Office.
And I don't know why the sad emo suicide 13 Reasons Why show keeps popping up on our homepage, but it's annoying, and I don't like it.
It's because it's a Netflix original and they push the Netflix originals hard.
Can you push a lighthearted Netflix original?
I guess you could, but if you only
Why
have
would
one,
you do that?
If you only have one thing in their day, that's, it's hard.
The Office is a comedy!
But if that's literally the only thing, they don't have a lot to pull from. You probably have to have more titles than that
Okay.
in order to hit.
So put up Arrested Development.
Quality show. Although I will say, not quite the same since Netflix took over, but still enjoyable. But it's hard to, strike gold twice.
Like Nintendo's thing, Netflix is doing way too many shows. So, Nintendo, you're going to start putting way too many games on at a regular interval. How about let's scale that back? Keep what you're doing, just make sure you're putting more quality games on. And allowing us to see them for longer.
There's difference when it's like Netflix actually actively developing things versus Netflix just cutting a check for the production. The ones that Netflix actually puts, quality teams behind, like the Daredevils, like, those sorts of things. But now it's sort of become another indie platform where indie movie makers can go to Netflix and say, hey, I have this movie, can I get some money to produce it? And we'll make it a Netflix original, and,
Interesting.
So I think that's why you're seeing more and more Netflix originals. Netflix doesn't have that much
Studio
manpower.
Okay.
Or even the capital to get all that studio space. It's more they're becoming a underwriter and a distributor as opposed to an actual studio.
So kind of like Warner Brothers?
In a way, but Warner Brothers does have a studio. But there are Warner Brothers films that aren't filmed on Warner Brothers studios.
Netflix has studios.
Yes, they do. But I'm saying not all of them are.
No.
There's actually, one's produced by Netflix, and there's ones that are just Netflix originals where they, underwrite the cost, part of the cost, or, help them out with distribution. Like, hey, we'll make this, and you can, have it on Netflix exclusively. Here you go.
But I'm just regular Joe Schmo. I had no idea that happened.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's why you've seen the rapid expansion of the Netflix originals.
Nintendo, on the other hand, is just going to allow them to put their game on there.
Yes, but it kind of brings up the same thing, because you talk about Netflix now with this new setup has a bunch of crap.
Mm-hmm.
They still have their highly regarded series, the highly thought of things that they produce, but then there's also the really low budget, poorly written, C, D, F list actors.
Yep.
Vehicles that are starting to pop up, but at least I've watched enough stuff where it aggregates me some good things.
The problem I have with the eShop store is when the recent releases tab has 50 games on it. That's a lot of recent releases.
Yeah, and I don't do a ton of e-shopping, where I'm just browsing. If I see a sale, I'll go look and see what the sale is, but most of the time it's I know what I'm looking for. I'm pre-ordering a game, or this game came out and I want it now, so I'm gonna go purchase it.
And those games are gonna do well. It's the games that the indies put out that don't have a marketing section for it. A team that's trying to get their game out. Maybe they had a Kickstarter, but they didn't have the money for publishing. It was all money just for developing. And so when they do get their game out, it's going to live or die by some random person dropping money and actually playing the game, liking it, and word of mouth from the consumer.
Which is a game...
Which is going to be harder if you do that many games every week.
Which is what, Rocket League was.
Oh,
it was 100%. A game that it came out... I mean, obviously they got some extra hype by releasing it on the, PS Plus free games for the month.
That was how they basically did their marketing.
And then, so, people downloaded it, tried it, and they're like, oh, this is awesome.
Legit. And then it went away after that month, and it's never been back, and people have to buy it now.
and they've made a ton of money because of that initial free month. They obviously took a loss that first month.
All microtransactions they added are cosmetic, and a lot of people who got it for free, they found out actually did end up buying microtransactions to pay it back, as it were.
Yeah, so, I mean, but obviously taking a loss, giving it away for free.
At the beginning.
For that first month, but the word of mouth that they built was priceless because
Yep.
they sold like crazy after it went away for free.
Yep.
And then it sold like crazy when it went to
Xbox.
the Xbox, and now it's sold really well on the Switch as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
For an indie studio that really isn't that big, they have struck gold, they've struck oil, whatever you want to say. Gold and oil at the same time? I don't know. But
Oil?
or is it just oil with gold in it? I don't know. But whatever it was fantastic. And it's my worry when you start going for quantity over quality is a game like Rocket League would get buried and
easily.
we'd miss it.
Easily. That's where you're going to have to spend whatever team you have pumping the news section on the news feed side of the Switch needs to champion some indies a little bit better.
Or
maybe even do a revisit. Like after half the year, you could say, "Hey, quality indies," and then
because guess what? Console did get a lot of indie games and a lot of just random shit thrown at it. I'm thinking of the Wii.
Oh, that was shovelware. That was all wiggle. Oh,
exactly.
That was bad.
But it was like they just started cranking out games for that thing.
And they stopped making good games for that thing, and I stopped playing it.
Yep. I mean, outside of that
Nintendo
initial launch window, playing Zelda, playing
Mario
Twilight
Galaxy.
Princess, Mario Galaxy 2, Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Is it Melee? I thought Melee was on the GameCube. It's just Super Smash Wii, wasn't it? It was the one that had...
No, that was the Wii U one.
It was the one that had Subspace Emissary mode. I really hope that's in Ultimate.
But, outside of those Nintendo Studio games...
Only Nintendo
Studios,
was doing quality games at the end.
Everything else was trash. Everything else was trash.
Hardcore trash.
And that's why Just Dance still exists.
That's not trash. That's legit. Just dance
But
all day.
the fact that they put out a new one every year, just keep putting out updates to the DLC. It's like a sports franchise game,
Which
it's
is
like
why
a
they
Madden.
keep putting it out
It's
every
like a
year.
FIFA.
Because people keep buying $60
just
worth
let
every
me
year.
pay for a subscription, and you just update stuff.
Kyle, they don't want you. They want the guy that's gonna pay $60 every year.
And I know lots of people who do that. Who do that with Madden. Who do that with FIFA. Who do that with NBA 2K.
Mm-hmm.
Just stop. That's... If you live in a state with sales tax, that's like $200 a year for 3 games every year. It's not worth it. Stop. This is like the port thing.
Just cycle through. Just 1 year pick Madden, and then the next year buy the basketball one, and the year after that buy the baseball one, and then year 4 buy Madden again. Just rotate your game schedule. Don't multiple versions of Madden play together?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, well that's ridiculous. They should.
None of them do. None of them. You have to buy the new version. And they stop supporting it after like 3 years or whatever it is because they're like, no, you need to update. Like, we're not going to let you play with people anymore.
Okay, so perfect. Just wait for just every 3 years, like I said.
Because our friend Travis, good friend Travis, reluctant to update consoles, still has his 360, and all he plays is sports games. And
well, hey,
they stopped supporting them online. He used to play online, but they don't support him online anymore. So he has to play offline. And so I get random ass text messages. He's playing the NCAA basketball game, which they stopped making before football, by the way.
Ouch.
And that was in 2014 was the last NCAA football game, I want to say.
Probably.
That's
The new consoles came out in 13.
yeah. No, it was before then.
Ooh, that's an old
Because
one.
it wasn't out for PS.
So
there
is
was
he just
no
manually updating his rosters by himself?
no. But there are people out there that
That do
I don't.
that?
They used to be able to update rosters and upload them. I don't know if that's supported anymore.
Can't you just type it in the game?
You could. That takes a long time. I wouldn't put it past Travis for certain things.
Well, you could just do your starters.
Yeah, you could. But this isn't the point. The point is Travis is still playing this game, and I get a random ass text message saying that he's now his franchise mode, whatever, for the college basketball game. He's now the head coach at American University, and he's telling me how the team's doing. It's like, dude, this isn't... I don't need to hear about this. Your struggles at trying to get American University into the NCAA tournament, into a championship in NCAA basketball 14 or whatever.
Whatever year it was.
And it's just like, good lord, dude, like, update already. And the whole issue of those games, essentially, the NCAA would be fine with them going back and making them again.
Oh.
But the schools won't. If the schools allowed that, and they made money off of the licensing on their schools, so like I went to Washington State, and if Washington State sells the rights to EA to use their
Rosters.
logo, their name, not the rosters even, because they never had real players in the game.
Okay.
Because but making money off of that, and they have players with likenesses in them. It wasn't the actual players, but it looked like them and had the same numbers and similar stats, like in terms of.
Oh no! Someone on the
So,
court's
no,
wearing
no.
the number 22.
No,
that
no,
never
no.
happens.
But they worry that because of that, it would make the players, in the eyes of a court, potentially not amateurs, and it brings up the whole paying players thing, and they don't want to do that. Obviously, the schools don't, because then.
But the same numbers in basketball are. Do you know how many number 12 jerseys I've seen?
Oh no! But if the player looks like that player, and then the stats in the game say you have the same stats as your guy last
Hey,
year.
developer, use the number 12, find out who's playing that year, and make them look completely opposite. So there you go, problem solved.
But
Or make everyone in the game blue. I don't know.
it's a whole thing. Bless me. Excuse me. Whatever. I don't care. NCAA 14 was the last one,
Okay, so that's probably the one he was playing. So,
which came out in 13, by the way.
well, naturally.
So
They're always a year ahead. So, what it comes down to is you put bloatware on stuff, people stop looking at your thing because they're like, everything on here is trash. And then you actually get less money coming in,
or you get people not willing to browse your eShop.
which gets rid of your spontaneous buys. Which is, again,
They're
the
just going to
last
be
thing.
like me and come looking for something specific.
And then the people who are actually making good stuff that people want to buy
And by the way,
are going to go somewhere else.
if you're discounting your stuff 1%, that's going to make me not look at your deals section either.
Oh, it's terrible. Those games that are at 1%, by the way, this is a trick. I don't want to buy it because it's 1% off. If you're going to allow yourself to do the just to try and get yourself back up for marketing, make it like 10% or 15%. That's
Something
at least
worthwhile.
reasonable.
10% at least gets rid of sales tax.
Yeah. So in a lot of states, especially Washington.
Final
It's
thoughts on this subject, John.
Final thoughts. If it's quality and you find a good way to market it and keep it easily accessible, again, use the search section, people. It's not that hard. It'll be okay. But I have a feeling that's not going to happen, so just don't do it.
And my final thoughts are, hey, and this is directed at Nintendo. Hey, Nintendo, don't be stupid. Quality over quantity. It's as easy as that. With that, it's time to wrap things up on episode number 7 of the Gamefall podcast. He is John McVeigh.
He is Kyle Sherman.
We will see you next time.